Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to thank each of you for coming here this morning. I wanted to extend a special thank you to my family and friends who've come here today to show their support for my decision to run as a candidate for the 57th House District this year. 2 years ago, I ran for this office because I felt that there needed to be a change in Lansing. Though I was not successful in my bid for election, it was a campaign that I was truly proud of. We worked hard on the last campaign. My volunteers and I visited every community in the county and knocked on upwards of 16,000 homes. We heard many stories of the struggle of our residents were experiencing. At one of the houses, I met a man who was sitting on his front porch. He was a 58-year-old, a gentleman who shared with me that he'd been through 3 plant closings in the last 10 years. He lost his first job just short of being eligible for retirement. His second job he lost after 3 years. The third job after just a couple of years. He went on to say that he was still looking for a job on a regular basis, but had recently come to the realization that he was no longer getting callbacks. I've thought about this man often in the last 13 months and have concluded that the legislation that's come out of Lansing has done little to help his plight. We are starting this campaign with the same drive and commitment we had in the last election, to talk about the issues that matter to the people of Lenawee County and pledge that once I am in Lansing, I will do the work the people of Lenawee County sent me there to do. In the last campaign, the Republican machine and my opponent made a lot of noise of the fact that as mayor, I voted to raise water and sewer rates in the city of Tecumseh. Though the increase, which on average added $17.40 a year to each household's utility costs and kept utility rates in Tecumseh among the lowest in Lenawee County, they cautioned that if I were elected, the dripping faucet I created would become a flood. The current legislature has created a new income tax structure that took effect a month ago. Our current representative voted for that change, and as a result, at least 51% of all Michigan residents will pay more in income taxes in 2012. The legislation eliminates, reduces, or limits several state individual income tax exemptions, credits, and deductions, including reducing the state earned income tax credit. It also increased taxes on selected types of pension income and reduces the number of taxpayers qualifying for the homestead property tax credit. Unfortunately, the lowest income families and residents will be hit the hardest with the highest percentage increase, while the wealthiest will pay only a few dollars more. No candidate in the race for the 57th House District has more hands-on business experience than I have. As an individual who started his work career as an early teen, I know what it takes to grow a business. I purchased my first store at a time when a hardworking, aspiring entrepreneur could go to a local bank and with a plan and hope of obtaining a loan for the necessary funds needed to run the business. I grew that business from one store with 3 employees to a small business here in Lenawee County that now employs 40 people in 3 locations. We in Michigan no longer live in an economic environment where that can happen. State and national economic policies have dashed the dreams of our youth who aspire to open new businesses here in Michigan. We have to work together across party lines to make the American dream a reality for our children and for our children's children. As a pharmacist, I witness every day the struggles of my friends and neighbors, many who I've known for many years. They've lost their jobs, they're beaten down, they can't find work. Some of them have lost their homes. It's not just in Lenawee County, it's all over Michigan. And what is Lansing's response? cut the programs that can help them most. They've passed laws that circumvent the collective bargaining process and attacked our local communities and schools by letting Lansing insiders decide who gets to run them. I'm proud of my 25 years of service to the city of Tecumseh as a councilman and as mayor. During my years as mayor, the city administration and council developed a strong working relationship with the labor unions representing city employees that grew out of a mutual respect for one another. That spirit of cooperation was evident in the fact that at a time when it became increasingly evident during the budget process that revenues would not meet expenditures, our unions gave up negotiated pay raises to ease the burden on our citizens. I'm also extremely proud of the part the city of Tecumseh played in the negotiations that went on between Lenawee Stamping Corporation and its union representatives a few years back. When it looked like the two parties were at an impasse and there was a threat of a plant closing, the city manager, I, and our economic development director met privately with each side to find common ground that would eventually lead to a contract agreement and the creation of many new jobs right here in Lenawee County. Lansing politicians pay lip service to cooperation and collaboration, but their actions speak differently. They tilt the playing field so that in the end only one side wins. I've proven through experience that I can level the playing field so everybody wins. Last week I spoke with the president of Ferris State University, my alma mater, and he shared with me his real concern about the affordability of higher education here in Michigan. Funding of Michigan's universities has decreased by 30% over the past decade. At the same time, tuition costs for students continues to rise. He shared with me that the average student graduating from Ferris has a student loan that exceeds $60,000. Because we have lost many of the high-paying jobs that once existed here in Michigan, we have allowed the cost of public education to exceed the benefit of obtaining an education after high school. As long as that is reality here in the state of Michigan, we will struggle to grow an economy within this state that attracts new businesses and makes it possible for our educated workforce to stay here in Michigan. We need to stop the trend of cutting funding to education at all levels, including early learners, K through 12, and at the junior college and university level. The cuts we have seen in education over the past few years do little to make Michigan an attractive place to live and raise a family. In closing, this is the end of my formal statement, but I'd like to take the opportunity to once again thank you to those who chose to join me here today. A special thanks to Sheriff Larry Richardson, my good friend Arnold Harper, former State Representative Dudley Spade, and former State Representative Doug Spade. Their support is just huge for me, and I appreciate them being here today. The 57th District needs a state representative who will take on the special interest, not take orders from them. The 57th District needs a state representative who will be an independent voice for Lenawee County families, not a mouthpiece for the party bosses. And finally, the 57th District needs a state representative with a proven record of collaboration and cooperation, who will use those abilities to do what it takes to create jobs here in Lenawee County and throughout Michigan. Thank you, and I ask for your support.